Today what I'm going to show you is how to make a whistle. You can also call it an ocarina. Technically, I believe an ocarina has little holes in it where it can raise its tone. Look at what happened. What we have are little sound holes. Those are done after you make the whistle. If you look closely, what you have is with a popsicle stick, you have the hole that you blow into, and so this could be called the mouthpiece. We'll notice there is a rectangular opening about the width of the popsicle stick, and then you have a bevel. What it does is it splits the wind that you blow, and half of it goes into the pot and the other half comes out, and it makes that whistling noise. So you want to start with some clay. You do not want to make too big of an ocarina, so we're going to save part of it for the base. We'll make a little slab out of this half, and this half we'll use to make a small pinch pot. When you're making your pinch pot, you might want to use a little bit of sudden impact. You don't have to slam it so hard that it makes a construction zone noise or anything. Here's an air pocket. If we dig into it, you can actually see there was an air pocket in there. And so we're kind of closing them up. If you have trouble making a round sphere, then you can use your fingers to strike it, and while turning it, that might be helpful. So here we've got a nice shape of a ball. Is it important to make a ball? Yes, because you start with a ball, and there's something that's very important you need to keep in mind. You're not trying to force the shape. I started with a ball, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, just like with your experience of the pinch pot, stick your thumb in there, but don't push it all the way in, because you don't want a thin bottom. And then what you want to do is basically your thumb is merely supporting the wall, and you're squeezing with your fingers, ensuring that you have even wall thickness. So I'm going to go around and around. So I'm going to take this second piece, and then I'm going to make it into a slab. Then all you do is place it on there, and then mark it very carefully, needle-like stick, and just trace around it. That's my bottom piece. This clay is still workable, so I'm going to use this for my mouthpiece. Honestly, it's probably better to let it be leather hard before you continue, but you can, for instructional purposes, I'm going to go ahead and at least put this thing together. It is wet enough where we could just wet it or use slip, but I'm going to go ahead and score this side. I'm getting slip. The slip looks kind of thin, but it'll work. So here I got some slip on my finger. I'm just gonna rub it on there. Have a nice bond. The pieces together. Comes up. So we need enough pressure to get it together, but we don't want to crush our whistle. Start rubbing it together. I can use the side of a stick. Technically, we're using pinch and slab technique. The next step is I'm going to need this piece here gonna shape it into a mouthpiece. Now, the next step is to cut it where I'm gonna attach it, and then I want to cut the other end of the mouthpiece. So I'm ready to attach it and trim it a little bit so it's not. Okay, so this will be the mouthpiece. So what I need to do is attach it here. So let me go ahead and mark where it goes. And then I'm going to score both halves. A tiny coil around it, so I'm going to make a little coil. Fine. I will use, and then I'll put it there. So I'm gonna cut it about here. Where it goes, in the corner. It's kind of wet, so I'm not gonna bother with scoring it. I really think that might be a little overkill. And I'm gonna add this. This thing is ready, put together. And what we're gonna do is once you want to imagine yourself pushing the popsicle stick straight in, so you have to look at this at the right angle. It needs to be right above the bottom wall, and so let me go ahead and do that. All right, so it's in there. So the next step is to draw a line where I think the inside of the wall is, which I would say is probably about right here. The inside of the wall of the bowl. And then we need to, with a straight line coming in, kind of imagine where the other side of the stick is, which would be, if I level them together, would be about right here. So it's going to be somewhere here. I think this is coming in at a slight angle, but that's okay. It'll work. So then I'm going to go ahead and extend these lines, and then right here is where I want to cut a piece. What I recommend you do is dig a little bit at a time in steps. And then when you start to feel like it's starting to get loose, I can actually feel that I'm on top of the stick. So I'm going to lift that out. Wet, I'm going to go ahead and push this in. I need that bevel. Now, do you see what happened to the stick when I started pushing in? The stick started coming up. So I have to lay it down and support the stick while I push in. I'm going to go ahead and at a diagonal and straighten this out. Angle. So it can flow more. Let me try it. This might help it. Let me go ahead and reinsert this. Sometimes you have to troubleshoot it. So if it doesn't make a sound the first time, don't worry, we'll make it work. This is the expression of someone who's tired but excited at the same time. I think there's some material right here that needs to be pushed in. Do you see it? That material right there needs to be cut off and removed. It's just a thin layer of material. It's falling down. I might have to just drop it in there. push it against the wall because I can't pull it out. Let's see if that does it. Perfect. Now we have sound. So the next thing I would do is once you make a sound, you can clean this up, but you really don't want to mess with the actual structure of it. I guess I would say. And now you could think, okay, where do my hands fall naturally? My fingers, and maybe here and here, and maybe you can have a partner put a little dot right in the center under where your hand would fall naturally. You might even want to carve or push in or carve like a little hole or a little indentation where your fingers can where you can imagine where your fingers would settle. The other one would be here. So that just to help my fingers locate where they should be. And then once I'm ready with that, I can poke a hole. In the center of my indentations, and with a little luck, we'll get this thing working. So here are the indentations to help me find my fingers find out, and there are the holes. Let's see if it works. Excited and jump up and down. You might drop your ocarina once it makes a noise. Here we go. Let's try this. A little more detailing and decorating, and you have your ocarina. Thank you, and we'll have a wonderful day and stay beautiful.